Well, good morning everybody, and welcome to this first Science Symposium for High-Value Nutrition. My name is John Smart. I'm Challenge Director for the High-Value Nutrition National Science Challenge and co-chair this morning with this session with my colleague David Cameron-Smith along here, and I'll also welcome the Chair of the High-Value Nutrition Board, Bob Major, who will open the conference in a moment. We will be holding questions from each presentation back until we have a series of panel discussions through the meeting. So if you have questions, please save them up and we can discuss them at the panels. And then finally, you'll find some post-it notes on your tables. They're there to capture your thoughts, primarily any compliments, but if there's any other feedback, then jot that down and bang them on the concrete wall at the back of the room sometime over the next 2 days, and that'll give us some useful feedback. High-Value Nutrition was launched by Minister Joyce in April 2014, believe it or not, but that enabled us to do further planning, and really the contract for research was completed in mid-2015, so we're less than a year old in reality. And what we're just going to give you first off to get you into the mood is a short video clip of what's been occurring over the past year, and then I'll introduce Bob Major to open the conference.
Science and commerce are coming together in a unique project to make New Zealand a leader in healthy food.
We think of ourselves as the great food bowl of the world, and to a degree we are, but we probably have a bit more work to do in terms of walking the talk about really being the high-value food headquarters of the world.
High-value nutrition is about making sure we've got the science working with businesses to improve the value of New Zealand food exports.
The aim is to capture the growing Asian market, where the change to a Western diet has brought about a surge in health problems, including obesity, diabetes and food allergies.
The thing that we need to do is to be able to sell consumer products that attract a premium. Health is the most important premium.
The challenge comes, though, that we have to be able to tell that story with conviction. We have to be able to build some science and some credibility so we can say with conviction how these products really work.
And there's a very clear and practical goal to this research, to add an extra $1 billion to our exports over the next 10 years.
Very important that the challenges not be considered as business as usual. The whole idea is that it be a change of strategic focus to really deliver some new results, some new findings in a particular challenge area.
Businesses are gradually starting to get the message that probably the main tasks and one of the desires in high-value nutrition is to de-risk some of this science.
This is a big opportunity for New Zealand.
Our research is going to lead to some new products and new processes.
We don't want to be producers of just food, we want to be producers of nutrition.
That's an innovative way to study how food will affect gut function.
Health and economic benefit will sit really nicely side by side in high-value nutrition.
为纽西兰的食品出口增加10亿收入。
看似与肥胖病并无关联，但是奥克兰大学医学院教授 David Cameron-Smith。
What if you could eat a burger and it lowered your cholesterol? Well, $7 million of government funding has been announced for just that type of innovative research.
True innovation occurs when you bring the best brains together.
The primary outcome is that we're doing some human clinical studies and then doing some pretty cool, funky stuff.
This research for high-value nutrition is a world first.
We see this as a premium product and we think it would sell very well in Asia.
What is really impressive is the applied nature of the science and the focus on provable health values of the food.
High-value nutrition is going to lead to the development of a whole range of innovative new food products. It will revolutionise the types of foods that can be marketed the range of foods that can be marketed. It will be exciting in that it would deliver new health options, new possibilities for health consumers.
Right, so here we are. I'd just like to hand over to Bob Major, Chair of the High-Value Nutrition Board, to open the symposium.
So good morning and welcome. As John says, my name is Bob Major and I chair this challenge. It's also my pleasure to open the symposium this morning. So the challenge has made significant progress and we're now clearly out of the setup stage, and you're going to see this very clearly over the next couple of days. Now, while the challenge is primarily known as an investor, we have I see it says 84, actually I always thought it was 83. But, $84 million to spend.
There was $1 million in planning.
That's, well, $1 million was already spent in that case, and then there's $30 million between now and 2019, and another $50 million between 2019 and 2024. So we're primarily known as an investor, but we are actually charged with a few other responsibilities as well. We're charged with the responsibility of being a facilitator and coordinator, bringing together New Zealand's science capabilities and science networks, and that's formation of a pan-national team. So the National Science Challenges are very much around a pan-national team, so around bringing together New Zealand's capabilities and networks to support our food exporters. So one of our KPIs, or the ultimate goal of this challenge, is $1 billion in additional export revenue by 2025. So it's bringing together the science to support that goal. We're also charged with being an influencer, and we're being charged with engaging with business to provide support and advice. So this symposium today is designed to show where the challenge has got to. We've got an initial research investment portfolio in place, and over the next 2 days you'll see how these initial investments showcased. Equally, if not more importantly, you're going to have the opportunity to engage and network with the HVN team. Now, we've got a full program ahead of us over the next 2 days, and I trust that by the end you will appreciate the progress that has been made. We're pleased with where we've got to, but appreciate we've got a lot to do yet. And we've got a lot to do, particularly on the stakeholder engagement side, and today is very much a first step against that particular objective. Now, as John's already said, Minister Joyce was supposed to be here this morning. He can't attend in person, but he has, as an alternative, provided a video with some comments for us. So, Minister Joyce.
Good morning, everybody. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person at this 2016 High-Value Nutrition Science Symposium. It's the first time your teams have got together and the first time you're going to be reviewing all the science. And the challenge is exciting. It's doing some great work in research and foods for health. The New Zealand food and beverage story takes place in a global environment. We have an outstanding international reputation as a rich source of high quality, efficiently produced and safe foods, supported by strong regulations for food safety and for health claims. This science symposium is bringing together national and international speakers who are experts in nutrition and the impact of foods on health, on food science, food for health international regulations and global trends. In addition to the symposium profiling the high-value nutrition research and other relevant New Zealand research, I look forward to the insights we can get into the wider food for health market trends and into the global regulatory environment. High-value nutrition is one of our 11 national science challenges. We've launched 10 of them to date, and they're all very exciting. I'm proud of the work done across New Zealand's national science challenges, which are all about collaboration and bringing together the best cross-disciplinary teams to deliver the challenge objectives. The national science challenges are designed to take a more strategic approach to the government's science investment by targeting a series of goals, and if we're able to achieve those goals, they would have a major and enduring benefit for this country. The 11 national science challenges focus science investment on issues that matter to all Kiwis. They're cross-disciplinary, scientist-led, and designed to tackle the biggest science-based challenges that New Zealand has. They provide an opportunity for collaboration between researchers from universities and other academic institutions, the CRIs, the business sector, and NGOs to create sustainable and long-term research plans and activities. For high-value nutrition, it's using research excellence to enable the transformation of New Zealand's food and beverage industry into an exporter of high-value, scientifically proven foods for health. In 2015, the Challenge invested nearly $11 million in its long-term research programs, complemented by $7 million worth of short-term research projects. You've now built a foundation on which science will be able to flourish over the next 10 years. The infrastructure is in place to build innovative strategies, techniques and technology, and to collaborate across disciplines. So I hope you have a very successful symposium today, and I'm looking forward to hearing back on the progress that you're making and some details of the research that you've set up. Have a great day.
Okay. We think that was quite a long selfie, and the Minister probably filmed himself on his laptop there, so that was great. Can we start with the first presentation? Thank you. Right, what I want to talk a little bit about is how we're going about achieving the mission. The government's expectations for high-value nutrition are quite clear. Simple objective in the Gazette notice was to develop high-value foods with validated health benefits to drive economic growth. And we've taken that and built it slightly up into our vision, which is that high-value nutrition is about growing New Zealand food and beverage export revenue through international leadership in the science of food-health relationships. And we set ourselves two quite challenging long-term goals, and you've heard about one of them, which is how do we facilitate, invest, bring about an additional $1 billion in food and beverage export revenues and research aligned to this high-value nutrition concept. Perhaps more importantly, in the enduring change we want to bring about, an enhancement in New Zealand's international reputation as a producer of high-quality foods with scientifically validated health benefits. And why do we need to do this? And I think we all know the story really, that New Zealand is perhaps one of the only first world countries with a major reliance on primary industries, and they are mainly low value add with volatile prices and returns, and we see examples of that currently. And as a result of this, as a country, we will struggle to pay for high value imports such as medicines and healthcare. We'll struggle to maintain our environment, our standard of living, and to provide jobs for young talent. And I see that in the case of my son, who's now working for Apple in London, and I don't think there'll be many jobs to attract him back to New Zealand. And the reality is that we've become relatively poorer. So the red line here shows New Zealand's GDP relative to OECD averages, 120% in the 1970s and around 90% now. So it is a problem. But what we can't deny is that food and beverages is what we do. We're good at it. It is still, way out on the right here, the dominant export sector for New Zealand, with apologies to tourism, who keep reminding me that they're also now a significant export earner. But in terms of our manufactured goods, food and beverage is still big. It's still what we do. But although it's big for us, it's actually not big on a world scale. So we're only a very small producer of a small part of the world's foods. And so what we don't want to be doing is producing more foods and selling them cheaply. And the reality for us, I think, is that innovation and efficiency gains that reduce costs of production are often easily passed on to customers and consumers, and the benefits not retained in New Zealand. So what we need to be doing is selling our foods to discerning consumers who pay more for things that they value. And just borrowed a few slides from Ian Proudfoot from KPMG, who perhaps puts it in a better way than me, that New Zealand needs to look to how we enhance our participation in global value chains. And he points out that really only 10 to 30% of the value is captured, the retail value of foods is captured by producers and manufacturers, and we need to move closer to the consumer to be able to capture a greater share of value. And to do that, it's quite challenging. The investments that need to make are quite difficult and different for us. So what we need to do is become comfortable investing in intangible investments such as people and brands, in innovation and consumers. And I think these are things that perhaps we haven't become as familiar with in New Zealand as investing in tangible capital assets. So it's a bit of a change. And it works against our history in a sense. So our history tends to tell us we can do it all on the farm. And if you go back to the 50s and 60s, then we had the producer boards reinforcing an emphasis on cost and production efficiencies, which was very sensible at the time. But I think there's an attitude, probably still widely held in New Zealand, that value is only really added on the farm, and that that's in our DNA to some extent. So how do we move forward that? How do we add value to foods? Well, health and wellness is one of many ways to add value to foods, and we don't want to suggest that it's the only way, and here's another slide from me in suggesting a number of different ways. But food as a driver of wellness certainly is one way to add value to foods. But adding value, easy to say, not so easy to do. Higher participation and global value chains is not sufficient in and of itself, and what we need to be doing is understanding how we can return value to New Zealand from participation in those global value chains. And it's a way that a recent NZIER report described it as what we need to focus on as the domestic value added from enhanced participation in global value chains. So how do we do that? Well, I think the best way is to start with our strengths and then add things to them. So what are we good at in New Zealand? Well, we are a fantastic country with natural attributes for producing high quality foods. We have good systems, good market access history, and as a result we are a trusted producer of foods to consumers in many parts of the world. So the provenance story for New Zealand is very, very strong. And on top of that, we're very good at food science, at processing, at logistics, at food safety issues. So we have the basis of a fantastic food sector in New Zealand, as we all know. And the thing that we need to add to that now is understanding consumers better, understanding marketing, understanding branding, and working out how to add value and return value. So what we see high-value nutrition's role is about leveraging New Zealand's competitive and comparative advantages and sort of positioning New Zealand as a leader in the validation of food health claims or benefits, building off these major pillars of the sector. So what can we add to our existing strengths? Well, I'm sure there'll be a number of different ideas, but three things that I think we can add is the development of an enhanced and world-leading regulatory framework, coupled with the way in which government supports that, and I think that's very important. So we have a new Food Standards Australia New Zealand 1.2.7 around nutrition, health and related claims, and I think that'll provide a basis for repositioning New Zealand as a trusted source of foods for health. But we also have a Ministry of Primary Industries taking quite a proactive approach in supporting businesses achieve equivalence to New Zealand approved product claims in international jurisdictions. And I think that's quite a unique advantage when the regulator plays such a proactive role. I think we also have fantastic human capital in New Zealand in the international quality medical and clinical science that we have in this country. It's world class, and I think much of that can focus on foods and nutrition and health. And so I think we have the ability to engage a cadre of high-quality researchers on this problem for the food sector. And I think the way that we can do things in New Zealand, we can operate at a national level. And I think the National Science Challenge is designed to bring all the parts together in this national endeavour. And taking that NZ Inc. approach, I think, is unique. Not many countries can do it in the way that we can, and is a potential game changer. So what we can do is focus, collaborate, integrate. So how do we do that? So focus, we need to go where the money is, but we want to make sure it's at the top end, not at any cost. And so we need to focus on those consumers who have health and well-being worries and the ability to pay for genuine solutions. We need to integrate across disciplines, pull teams together that haven't been working together before, collaborate across institutions, pull together the science, business and government players into this NZ Inc. Model. And I think what role high-value nutrition can play is to reduce the business risk by investing in the pre-competitive research that businesses can't invest in themselves, but are able to leverage and make use of. So where is the money? Well, it's increasingly in Asia. This chart is just showing China again, way out on the top right-hand side of New Zealand's 10-year food and beverage export value by regional growth matrix. So the growth is in Asia, not just in China, but also in Southeast Asia and East Asia. It's not to say that other markets are not important, but there is a trend that's happening quite rapidly that our markets are moving towards Asia. And it's the large subpopulations of affluent consumers in Asia that need to be the focus for us. And they are the ones that we call the worried well, that have money to spend on solutions. You're going to hear about a number of these different areas of research over the next 2 days. I think the other thing that will happen, and we had a full day meeting yesterday and we'll hear more about food regulations, but perhaps one thing I took out of the meeting yesterday was that food health regulations will evolve, but they will trend in the same direction, and that direction will probably get clearer, and we will need to fit, therefore, within the emerging frameworks, and increasingly they'll be based on scientific validation of health benefits. And what we'll see, I think, is that grey or backdoor alternative routes will gradually diminish, if not dry up. And I think if New Zealand can establish a high quality regulatory system in the food health area, plus the practice of it, then it will give us another competitive advantage to add to those that we already have. So how we see high-value nutrition is this rather complex innovation dynamic, if you like, of starting with understanding the market, understanding the consumers, looking at the science that we need to bring that, the nutritional biochemistry, the food science and technology, the clinical application, if you like, work all that out and then come back to product development, working with businesses on taking their products to market. And high-value nutrition is taking a holistic view of its role throughout this dynamic, and it will change over time as the challenge matures. So really we see high-value nutrition is about science and business responding primarily to consumers, and in doing so helping to shape the market over time. So what is high-value nutrition? It has to be more than the sum of its parts. To achieve our mission will require a whole of New Zealand effort, and over the next 2 days we will see and hear from a range of research now underway. So hopefully this is the start of something. How big it will be, I think, is really up to us, people in this room and people we can encourage to join us over the next few years. Thank you. I think I'm a little bit behind time, so we'll save questions to the panel sessions, as I said earlier. And what I'd like to do now is hand over to my colleague, David Cameron Smith, to introduce our next and more erudite speaker than me. Thank you.